Section 4.4 deals with evaluating functions and then also the composition of functions. First, in evaluating functions, we're just taking f of 2 and figuring out what happens when the x value becomes 2 in our f function. So we need to substitute a 2 into this particular expression. So it's 2 times 2 squared minus 5. And 2 squared is 4, and 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 minus 5 then is 3. So f of 2 equals 3. Our second one here, g of 2 equals, here we have to use the absolute value of x plus 4 and substitute a 2 in. So it's the absolute value of 2 plus 4, which is the absolute value of 6, or just plain 6. At times you will also get things like f times g of 2. In this case, you have to figure out what f of 2 is, which we know is 3. And we have to figure out what g of 2 is, which we know is 6. Now, because of these two answers and because we are multiplying, we just need to take 3 times 6. So f times g of 2 is going to equal 18. If we were dividing, then we would have 3 divided by 6, because that's what f of 2 and g of 2 are. And 3 divided by 6 is a half. That would also apply to addition and subtraction. Other times when you're evaluating functions, they will want you to evaluate at a specific variable. And so here we're taking f plus g of x. Since the variable is x, it's not going to change anything, but now we have to find out what we do when we add the two equations together. So we would have 2x squared minus 5 plus the absolute value of x plus 4. If this is something that you can simplify by combining like terms, then you should do that. In this case, you can't take the negative 5 and the positive 4 and add them together because this absolute value is here, so we just leave it as this expression. You also may get one where it's f times f of x. In that case, you would be taking the f function and multiplying it by itself. And so then when you go through and multiply this, 2x squared and 2x squared is 4x to the 4th minus 10x squared minus 10x squared, and then plus 25. That's 4x to the 4th, negative 10x squared, negative 10x squared, plus 25. And now we can combine the two like terms to get a final answer of 4x to the 4th minus 20x squared plus 25. And if we had g divided by f of x, then you would have the absolute value of x plus 4 over 2x squared minus 5. And that is evaluating simplifying functions, which then leads into the composition of functions. Using the same two functions for f and g, composition of functions can be first written two different ways. One way would be to look like this. It's read f composition g of 2. The second way is to look like this. It's an open circle not a dot, but an open circle. If it was a dot, it would be multiplication, but because it's an open circle, it's the composition of two functions. So this is f composition g of 2. When you see the composition of functions, what it means is you take the second function and substitute it into the first function. Since we are trying to find f composition g of 2, the first thing we need to do is find out what is g of 2. That would be the absolute value of 2 plus 4, or 6. So that is what g of 2 is equal to. And so now that gets replaced by a 6. And so we need to now figure out what is f of 6. And so then we would have 2 times 6 squared minus 5. 6 squared is 36 times 2 is 72 minus 5 is equal to 67. If you are asked to find f composition g of x, you're going to do the same thing, except now there is no number to substitute into the g functions. So now we have to take this, because it's f composition g, so the g function gets substituted in to the x f function. So it's 2 times the absolute value of x plus 4 squared, and then minus 5. Now, since we have what f composition g of x is, we can figure out this bottom one, f composition g of 7, by using our expression here. 2 times the absolute value of 7 plus 4 squared minus 5. 7 plus 4 is 11. Absolute value of 11 is still 11. 11 squared is 121. And 2 times 121 is 242. Minus 5 is 237. Now the other way that you could approach this, if you did not have what f composition g of x would be, then you can just figure out what is g of 7 first, which is the absolute value of 7 plus 4, and that is 11. And now find f of 11. And then once you get this is going to be 237. You get the same answer. So if you have the equation for the composition of two functions already figured out, if you're going to evaluate, just substitute it into that function. If you do not have this, then go about and figure out each one of these two parts. First figure out what g of 7 is equal to, and then take that answer and figure out f of that number. So here's what you can do for the rest of today, and we will look at it on Friday.